Patrick, he was a good kid. He was our firstborn. We loved him with a passion. He was popular. Patrick was just a great kid until he got hit by mental illness. He was a great kid.
Well, Patrick was our firstborn child, so he was really special. He was the child that we always dreamed of having and starting a family. And from the time he was a little boy, he was always very creative. He loved to draw. He loved art. He loved music. He was always building and rigging and designing, and he loved sports. He was very athletic. He's just your typical little all-American boy.
Patrick and I had a really, really, really good relationship. Actually, up until, he started being delusional, I would say he was somewhat of my hero, just in the sense that he was kind of a stud in school. He was kind of the cool kid and things like that, and we had a lot of the same hobbies. Like, we both love video games, and so basically, even when he was delusional, some of his worst at times, that was usually how we spent time together, was playing a lot of games. So it was a fun relationship. We would talk trash to each other. I feel like it's the typical brother-to-brother relationship. We just hang out, brag about how much better each one of us was than the other one. So it was a great relationship. It was fun.
Well, he called me on Father's Day in 2005 and asked me how long I'd been in the Mafia and when did I put the chip in his head. That was my first signs that something was desperately wrong. At first there's disbelief. You're thinking, did he use drugs? Did he, is there something else going on that I don't know about? What's happening? But I got in the car and it occurred somewhere around 2, my memory is 2 in the afternoon when I got that call from him, and I drove all the way from here to Lubbock to go see what's happening. And when I got to his apartment, it was like a tsunami had hit it. Food wrappers, food stuff. He was laying in the middle of the floor, and I said, "Son, what's going on? I'm not sure I understand." And he goes, "Well, Dad, you've been watching me on that camera and that TV the whole time." And so I picked him up, took him out of the apartment, told him to pack a few things, and brought him back and took him to BHC, our Behavioral Health Center, which started our journey down this dark, dark path.
He had kind of a golden age or a golden period where he's like 3 years where he's on his medication. He was doing really well. He was in school, things like that. And we talked at length about his mental illness. And it was like he was a normal guy, really, when we talked about it. He was very aware that he had it. He had still a few quirks here and there, but whenever we talked about it, it was just like, it's just a part of life, and he really almost forgot that he had it at times.
Patrick went all the way to a year and a half in his master's program in psychology at the University of Texas at Tyler. He was one of the top of his class. As with most people with mental illness, they're highly intelligent, and Patrick did well. I had visions of Patrick someday helping others with mental illness. I thought that was great. And many times he sat in that very chair you're sitting in, and he talked to me about goals and things he wanted to happen. But like many with mental illness, they don't want to take their medications because there's some side effects sometimes with those medications. And it's a process with the psychiatrist and the doctors to help get them on the right medication and the right amount of medication so you minimize the side effects. And I could tell it when Patrick would quit taking his medication. I could tell it. I'd see it in his eyes. His eyes would dull, and I'd come in after, a day of work or being in trial, and I'd look at him, and I'd realize he'd quit taking his medications.
As Patrick came home on my 48th birthday. He came home from college because he was scared and he didn't know what was happening to him. And he stayed here in Tyler for 9 years, where he fought very bravely against his mental illness. He took his own life here in Tyler in a remote area on the eve of my 57th birthday.
You always hear about the step-to-step process of how people deal with this kind of thing. And it's been interesting almost to reflect on how I've gone through the exact same steps. Like, I'm probably still in the anger stage, I'd say, 2 years later. And even the amount of time that it takes to heal, like, I think I'll be dealing with this for the rest of my life. But as far as growing, it's been crazy just how many opportunities God has kind of put in our way of how to help others that are going through the same thing. And it's taught us how to handle, I think, struggle a lot better. How to see a lot of struggles as an opportunity instead of a burden. And I think through that, I've been able to handle a lot of other things that were kind of thrown at me better, because, when you see problems as an opportunity, then it just changes your whole mindset. And so I think it's helped me to grow a lot more in how to deal with the lows in life.
I think we're doing as well as could be expected. We've been surrounded by a wonderful group of friends. We live in a great community that has given us the support that we need, the encouragement and the prayers. And we just take one day at a time, even though we miss him terribly and that never really gets easier. We believe that his legacy will live through us. And if we can help others who are suffering from mental illness and we can encourage their families, then we have a new purpose in life, and we're happy to be available.
I've been praying for God to allow a conference or something to educate the community. Initially, I had tried to get assisted outpatient treatment courts in Smith County, and it wasn't God's timing then. And then Fred Smith at Fourth Partner called me and said, let's do a conference on mental illness.
My faith is the sole defining thing that has helped me through all this. Like I said, I wouldn't be able to see the death of a brother in the way I see now without God. Like, the amount that my faith has grown through my brother's death is astronomical, and I owe all of that to God. I mean, he single-handedly changed me from the inside out. And it's weird to describe. When people ask me when was it that I developed such a passion for God, I don't know. I don't know when it happened. At some point over these last 2 years it did, and I just don't know how I would be able to deal with it this way without God. I don't know how anybody can without God, but it's helped me a lot.
There was an initial time where I got a group together and I said, okay, we're going to focus on mental illness, and that really it wasn't God's timing. And so I had to pull back my horns and I had to say, all right, I'm going to wait on the Lord. And it almost felt like a time of being in the wilderness, because I so wanted to make sure that another family doesn't have to go through what my family did. That another child doesn't have to go through what my son did. I wanted to provide help, so I prayed and asked the Lord to show me what he wants me to do. And then on comes Fred Smith. Fred's got connections everywhere, and I still to this day don't know why Fred Smith decided he wanted to help on a mental health conference, but he did, and I'm thankful to Fred and Lee Vickery and Catherine Rowan and Malia Edwards and Terry, all those people at Fourth Partner have been instrumental in making this happen. That's enabled me to go forward and so-called proclaim the message that there's hope, that Tyler cares.